The back modification, the master of the modification disaster, Mr. Joseph Bieganek. Let's give him a big round of applause.
All right, so if you were in my group earlier during the certification course, I was talking about how easy it is to modify the depths and the heights of the laterals. Also the backrest too. As soon as we do one side, you can just apply that to any surface that we have. The common mistake that you're going to make with this is a good one. Ends up being a good one because it's easy to fix when you start using a ride custom back. Is that you're going to make the laterals a little bit too deep, and that's just going to be because you're used to using softer materials, bigger laterals. So if that happens and you're going through the fitting part of it, I'll show you how to adjust that. After you take back through all the adjustments with the hardware and you still find that a lateral is still too tall underneath an arm, I'm going to look at the left one in this case. And if you're seeing that it's impinging, if you're trying to lower it a little bit, you start losing the custom shape to the backrest, so you're losing the effect of the support. What you can do is easily mark that right on the outside of the backrest with I like to use a white grease pencil. You can use a silver Sharpie, but something that shows up onto the backrest. So you'd mark this while they're sitting into the backrest, and you'd mark about how much lower you would want to have that. So I'm going to mark the height. I'm also going to take a little bit off the front of this lateral too at the same time. So I'm going to just straighten that line out so I know which one to follow. Alright, so we're going to go just like that. Okay, there's the line.
Well sketched, oh grade one.
Thank you very much, Ed McMahon. Okay, and it's really simple to take these backs apart. It's just a 1032 screw on each side. Remove those, hang on to them. You're going to need it, put it back together. If you end up losing one of these, Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot, where? Fastenal has a lot of 1032 fasteners.
Couple 2-inch sheetrock screws, no problem.
There you go. Deck screws, 6-inch deck screws. So the first part of this is that we're going to want to cut down the black plastic shell first. So I like to travel with a fairly inexpensive jigsaw with a wooden plastic blade, 10 teeth per inch. That's one thing I don't skip on. It's a really good. This is a good blade. I use Bosch jigsaw blades. Good blade, cheap saw, works really well.
Variable speed on your jigsaw is so get your least expensive variable speed though. That makes a huge difference.
Okay. The correct jigsaw blade.
You're not wearing your ride custom back modification.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate that. I feel a lot safer with that on. I like the freedom of the hair, with the air flowing through the hair. That's good. So with doing it with the jigsaw, that would leave it leaves a really sharp edge. And there's a little bit of a dip here too. I'm just gonna straighten that out. Real slow and let the blade do the work. The next tool that's at your local hardware store is in the black pipe section of the hardware store is a deburring tool. And this tool allows us to take the sharp edge of the plastic and turn it into a really safe edge really quickly by just taking those corners off of this. Just walk that through. So already it's just a really nice smooth surface. If you want to take that to the next step, what you do is you take your marks off of the plastic, and you can use a torch at this point, and you can just melt. You can tell it's so nice. Wow, it's just beautiful. There you go. Okay, let me make sure. You can hardly see that. It's even. Usually I don't do that good a job with the deburring tool. But what you can do is you can remelt this with the torch. You kind of keep the torch towards the inside of the backrest. so that the majority of the heat stays on the front edge of this and doesn't melt the back. Otherwise you'd see a little bit of an imperfection on the back rust. So you just run this until, if you were to look really closely, you'd be able to see this plastic just starting to shine up and puddle on the top. It just gives you a really nice finished edge on the back rust.
Can you use a heat gun for that too, Joe? Or
You would be here for a week doing it if you did that. However, I do say that with torches, you usually want to walk outside if you're in a clinic setting. You don't want to do that in the hospital.
Oh, it'll give them something to do that day.
Okay, then the next part is that you need to trim the inside liner. And this cover just flips right over the backrest. Over the Brock material, it's a breathable backrest. It's all the holes. So you'd set this on the backrest. You're going to line up the fasteners. You'll be able to see that right through the holes. Okay, there's that hole. I'm going to line this one up. What you do is you take a Sharpie and you're going to mark on the white plastic where your new trim line is. And same thing, you're going to grab the jigsaw and cut that up. And again, there's a really sharp edge on the inside and outside of this white plastic that's holding the Brock material, and you want to deburr both sides of this. And you don't have to pull the Brock up, you don't have to loosen it, you just put the deburring tool right on the inside and just drag it right over that inside edge. And if you don't do that, what will happen is that after you tape it, 6 months or longer down the road, you leave that as a sharp edge, it'll start wearing through the tape and the upholstery and could potentially cause a sore. So you want it to burn those edges, but it's that quick. The next, Tom, you want to talk about our investment into 3M?
We're majority shareholders in 3M, as demonstrated by the amount of 3M masking tape we use. Yes.
Thank you very much, Tom.
So a quality masking tape. Just put it in your ride bin as the wide tape, because I've been up there. It's just we just get so used. We have it everywhere. Everywhere you're almost within arm's reach of some masking tape everywhere you are in this company. So yeah, quality masking tape is a good idea.
Yep, masking tape holds up to body oils, and let's just get rid of that one. Where duct tape, duct tape gets when it's on something for a while, it starts to migrate, gets really greasy and slides out of the way. We tried a few of those, does not work. But masking tape holds up for years underneath these covers, which is pretty amazing for a tape that's not quite that strong. But if you use a good quality, you'll be able to pull that up years later and still make the modifications to the backrest. So what I'm doing is I'm just retaping these edges. I'm starting the masking tape on the inside and I'm just rolling it to the outside, and it gives it a really nice rounded edge. Okay. The next is for upholstery. Who here has a sewing machine in their clinic? Okay, great. Okay, pretty good number. A flatbed sewing machine is what we use to sew the covers for this material. For the small amount that I took off, I probably wouldn't even be sewing it. I'd probably just be leaving it loose, maybe tucking a little bit in between the two plastic layers. But I'm going to show you how to mark for a new seam. You turn this cover inside out. So we go from jigsaws to sewing class. You just set this cover inside out so that the spacer mesh is against the Brock material. Line up the edges. And then again with a white Sharpie, you would just mark that new seam. And you just take that and sew that right with the sewing machine, right on the line. Right on the line, and then you trim it within about a ½ inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Leave about 3/8 of an inch of a border. Like this one. This one is really good where it's at, because you don't want it to unravel, have the threads unravel on that. Then after you sew, you just pull the cover back on. put it together.
We've had a lot of people that do the modification but don't have access to sewing, but getting the modification done and verifying the fit is a good idea. And then sending in the insert to us to have a new cover. So that's all you got to do is send in the insert. We've had people just sit inside the outer shell with a couple thicknesses of towel taped on, but for short-term use and stuff like that, to buy them a little bit of time, all right? But make sure that they're safe doing that. And there's no, we try to, in all of our manufacturing, no sharp edges anywhere, inside or out, but just make sure that direction is safe.
I've taken a cover and had it modified just to an upholstery shop because it was too far to do anything else.
Yeah, just so,
And,
yeah.
I mean, they're usually, and this guy was great. He's like, oh, it's done. Here you go.
Yeah, it takes, you see, Joe, if I do it, I want to break the sewing machine. I'm going to sew my finger to the project. And
Well,
Pretty
that
bloody.
was my worry with the torch. It's like, so do we want to meet local fire people? Or?
Most fire systems are on a heat sensor, not a smoke sensor. So,
Oh, I'm just thinking that, yeah.
all right.
okay, there's the
I
modification.
worry about that outside with the wind.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Cheyenne, Wyoming, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, good?
Yep.
All right, so thank you.